It is said that some white people fear black men due to deeply ingrained racism that persists in the United States. This racism traces its roots back to the era of slavery, when black people, especially black men, were treated as less than human. Jane Elliott speaks on this.
White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future, and they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. Do you remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Do you remember Malcolm X? Do you remember all those people have been killed not because of the color of their skin, but because of the fear of white people, that someone who isn't white is going to look better, sound better, act better, do better than they do. Mr. Obama was the president of all of us. He wasn't just the president of black people. He was the president of all of us. The man who's there now is and claims to be the president of the people who look like him. When he says, "Make America great again," what he's really saying is, "Make America hate again." And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but you can teach people to give up the myth of racism. We have believed the myth of 3 or 4 races, different races in this country, for long enough. We're repeating the mistakes that we have made in the past because we aren't teaching about these mistakes in the present. We are not teaching history that is true. We aren't teaching social studies that is true. I cannot understand why black people who have been subjected to the ugliness that they've been subjected to in this country can get up every morning and go to work among us and not be absolutely furious. And I don't understand why we allow white people to behave the way they do. We have got to stop tolerating the intolerable. If it's intolerable for my black cousins, and every black person on this earth is one of my cousins, if it's intolerable for them, it's intolerable for me. God created human beings, the human race, and they started out black women. White people created racism. Human beings created racism. It's time to get over it.
Sadly, this legacy of mistreatment has endured throughout history and continues to impact the present. Racism means treating people differently based on their race or ethnicity. It is when someone believes that one race is better or worse than others. The transatlantic slave trade, where Africans were forced into slavery, was a major example of racism. Since then, racism has continued to exist and has led to discrimination, segregation, and unequal treatment for people based on their race. This is what tragic cases such as Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, James Craig Anderson, Eric Garner, and many others reflect the brutality that black men face as a result of the white supremacist society we live in. Despite claims that racism is no longer an issue, several experiences reveal the harsh truth that racism is very much alive and affects the lives of black individuals daily. Fighting against racism involves promoting fairness, challenging stereotypes, and changing unfair systems. We are responsible to take this up on ourselves and fight for what we believe is correct.